Okay, we are wrapping up our Bible reading for Luke chapter 2 this week. As we conclude our Bible reading, I want you to notice a couple of thoughts towards the end of the chapter. In Luke chapter 2, I want you to notice a couple of things. Number one, we get details about the birth of Jesus earlier in Luke chapter 2. Number two, we see Jesus, let's see here, in verse number 22 through 24, where he's going to be circumcised. Actually, go back to verse 21. He's 8 days old. Now, in verse number 40, it says, "The child continued to grow and become strong, increasing in wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover, and when he became 12. So I always love this chapter here because we don't have every single detail about the life of Jesus, about the early years. When we get to Luke chapter 3 next week, we'll see that his ministry began around the age of 30. So that's something I think that's important, that the Holy Spirit has revealed to us what we need to know, to believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, according to John chapter 20, verse 30 and 31. The second thing that I really enjoy about Luke chapter 2, this whole interaction with Jesus and his parents during the feast of the Passover. They're traveling a long distance to go to the feast in Jerusalem, and Jesus at the age of 12, what they see here is that he's having this interaction with individuals in the temple. They forgot about him. There would have been thousands among thousands of individuals there, and they go home thinking that he was along with them, with their relatives and acquaintances. And in verse number 45, when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem looking for him. Then after 3 days, so we know that this distance and just the amount of time that it took for people at that time to get from point A to point B would have taken a long time. So 3 days later, they find their son. But notice what it says in verse 46, both listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. So early on, Jesus understood what his mission was, who he was, and what he was going to do. In verse 49, he said to them, "Why is it that you are looking for me? Did you not know that I had to be in my Father's house?" And that's language that you'll find throughout the Gospels. I think about John chapter 5, where Jesus said to the Jews that my Father and I are working. I believe that's what he said. He would use that language quite a bit, my Father and I. And certainly he was denoting that relationship that he had with, obviously, with God the Father. Yeah, in John chapter 5 and verse 17, he said, "My Father is working until now, and I myself am working." So from an early age in Luke chapter 2, we know that Jesus recognized what he was here for and what he was going to be doing. And just something important to keep in mind, that we see this at a very young age in the life of Jesus. Something else I like in the end of Luke chapter 2 is that we just learn some basic facts about his life. We don't have every single detail, but we know in verse 52, and you'll probably hear this in a sermon at some point in time, Jesus kept increasing. There's something powerful there when it comes to young people. Keep increasing, keep getting better. He was increasing in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. And so we learn some more details about the life of Jesus, and hopefully this will help us. Let's keep increasing, let's keep getting better, and let's focus on what really matters. Talk to you later. Take care, and God bless.